Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 907. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the RSS issue that I had on the last show at the end of the show 906. Trying to get that posted up, there was some interesting problems. Going to talk about that. And then I have just a couple things to talk about from Stories in the Trenches, especially one from today. And then it's all about email. And I have 7 emails with some great topics. And one's going to be Microsoft is going to be default encrypting with Bitlocker on Windows 11. Also, a trick that we used to have for Windows 11 local account no longer works. So we got a follow up for that. And then some follow-ups to some other topics. So let's begin with the today. We have a client that, let me back up. The reason there was no show last week, I was sick. I was coughing again, just like March. It was crazy coughing that finally, by Saturday morning started to go away. As a matter of fact, I was coughing so bad, that's why I didn't want to reschedule the show from Thursday night to Saturday, which I normally do if I know I'm going to be tied up Thursday night. But I just projecting, I didn't think I would be 100%, and I wasn't. I was probably like 50% on Saturday, and then I've been resting and drinking lots of fluids and Sudafed for the nose, and then all kinds of stuff for the thing. I'll tell you what I was living on for the coughing, and it did help, is Robitussin DM, and that actually was a big help, and that was a big help in March. So I still don't know what this is that I keep getting. So hopefully that'll go away as I head back north at the end of this month. So with that, today my son had to attend a funeral for someone very close to one of his best friends. And so that took him off the availability for helping clients today. So I kind of manned the phones. And one of our clients is a retired priest. I think he's like 92 or 93. A very nice man. And he called because Google, for his browser, he says Google's upside down. Everything's upside down on the display. It took me a half hour to walk him through hitting Control, Alt, and right arrow. And that'll rotate 90 degrees. Now, getting him to depress 3 keys at the same time was an extreme challenge. As a matter of fact, when we wrapped up, and I got him hitting it, and it did move like 90 degrees to the right, but then I think he hit it too hard again, and it went back. So then it went to the left. Then it went back to upside down. He didn't have the timing to make it where it'd be straight. And I said, this is it. It's Control, Alt, and the right arrow key. And I said, look, my son's going to have to come on site. He can do it between jobs tomorrow, like about 1 o'clock. So I went into my son's calendar and had it, to visit him at 1 o'clock. I said, if you fix this, this is what you got to do to fix it. Give me a call back. About 10 minutes later, he called me back and he said, Mike, I got it. I finally got it down and hitting the 3 keys. So it was very, very frustrating, very challenging, but very easy, solution. So let's see what else. Been extremely busy with email migrations and just normal support, like Citrix Sharefile. They did an update, and my client somehow didn't get notified, because if they got notified, they would forward it to me. And they're a CPA firm, and I have to, as I thought I did everybody, but there's still a desktop I got to remote into tomorrow they did an update for the Outlook add-in. So this is where you can send encrypted files. How tax preparers, like they have their own, everybody has their own method for sending, encrypted files. So usually a portal or something like what Proofpoint I have for some clients. Other clients, they have like a third-party service that's, integrates and works for, with CPAs. And this Citrix Sharefile is exactly one of those things that, this is how they securely send files back and forth. But I got to do this update, and that'll fix the problem because they're getting a 505 error. So I just realized I didn't talk about the RSS problem. So now I'm going to talk about that. So every show, when I finish, I take the video that's recorded from OBS Studio and I upload that to YouTube, and it starts to check it out and convert. And that can take a while. That can take over an hour. So once I get that started, I then quickly edit the audio that is being recorded in Audacity, just for the audio portion, which is delivered via a file that is called the RSS file, or the RSS feed. And mine is in MikeNation.net/MikeTechShow.xml. That is a file that I manually edit at the end of every show to post up the audio. And this is after the audio is staged at Libsyn, which I've been using for years and years and years. Well, I forgot that the week before, but it was after Thursday, so my show was already good for show 905. So now we're talking 906. GoDaddy updated my website. Now, they moved it to a different host server. And they notified me that the upgrade was done and everything. I didn't even know that was happening. And the update happened. And I was like, okay, cool. And I checked the site. Everything worked. And I was like, okay, I'm happy. As long as it's working and it's available and it's fast. Well, I FTP my RSS file after I'm editing it. And I was able to just use FileZilla, and I clicked to upload my file. Okay, no problem. Looked like it uploaded. Okay, great. Said it, do you want to overwrite? Sure. But it wasn't available. Every time I would check the feed, it wasn't there. It stopped at show 905. 906 would not appear. And that frustrated me at the end of the show 906 2 weeks ago. So that's when I said, guys, I'm done. I can't hang around anymore. I got to resolve this. And it took a couple of hours for me to figure out. All of a sudden, it was bothering me. I'm editing this file and I'm FTPing it. What's going on? Well, they still had available, I would say, the original copy of the website with the original FTP account. I was FTPing to an account that was not live. So that website was not live. And I did that by looking at the date, and I was like, the date's wrong. So that means it's not uploading, it's not taking. So what's going on? So that's when I logged into my GoDaddy account, went to File Manager in there, and sure enough, when I uploaded the file, and I needed to check it. So this is where I know Kate in Canada is 3 hours behind me. So I know that this is in her time frame to be able to help. And I said, I need to know, because she has a pod player. I forget which one she has, but does it show up? And what was very cool was it was just like only took a couple minutes. She got the file, and not only that, sent me a picture of it in her feed where it has my really old artwork that I got to update. So that was really, really cool. And then I knew I had that fixed, and then I could relax, because there was no way I was going to be able to go to sleep Thursday night knowing that the show was kind of half posted. You know, you'd be able to listen to the audio if you went to the website, or you can watch and listen, go into YouTube. But I have thousands and thousands of listeners that rely on that RSS file, which is predominantly how you listen and get the show. So, and by the way, if there's ever, it's a Friday or something, and you know I did a show the night before and you're not seeing it in your feed, or there's there could be a problem happening that I don't know. If you have any problem with my show, let me know. And I really appreciate those that, email me and say, hey, Mike, hey, that link to so-and-so, it doesn't work. And I was like, I screwed up or did a typo or something in the show notes. So I appreciate that. And I will jump on it and fix it right away. So email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. And just greatly, greatly appreciate it. So speaking of Kate, let's get to her email, which was an article, which is what is going to spawn the first big topic tonight. She sent me a link to, and this is neowin.net. Microsoft may default encrypt your data with Bitlocker on Windows 11 24H2 and home PCs too. Now remember, they have a Bitlocker for Pro and for home, and they're not the same. They work and operate the same way to manage it, but the details behind the scenes, they're different. So that's why I always recommend Pro. And this goes on how they're going to do this, but this is not what bothers me. What you have to have is, when you get a new computer now for Windows 11, for yourself or a client, anybody, the first thing you got to do is, after you get the initial setup going, you need to see if BitLocker's turned on. Because if it is, you have to get a backup of your recovery key. So there will be a link tonight for Windows 10 and Windows 11. You just go to the start button and just type BitLocker. Then select Manage BitLocker. Now, it'll tell you whether it's on. And as a matter of fact, let me... you'll see an option that is suspend protection, change how drive is unlocked at startup, back up your recovery key, or turn off BitLocker. Back up your recovery key. And once you back it up, you have options where you can save it to your Microsoft account. Okay, well, if you're married if you married your system to your Microsoft account, then that's a good option. I'll tell you what, I would do that if you're using your Microsoft account instead of a local account. We have an email on that too for tonight. But save it to a USB flash drive. Now you got the recovery file, and you can print the recovery key. That's not a bad idea. I do that for clients where they put that in a secure file cabinet. So if they run into a problem, here's what you want to do after that. If you have a password manager, and I want to thank Tim in the chat for bringing this up before I started the show. He says, save it in your password manager, and then if your password manager syncs to your phone, you will have it on your phone. So make sure you save it somewhere as a file, but save it on your phone, because that's when you can pull out your phone. You don't have to worry about anything. And just that, I can't believe I don't have my Bitlocker keys saved in file manager, and not file manager, RoboForm. So my Bitlocker keys, as soon as I get the chance after the show, I am saving them. I am getting the file, getting the recovery key, and I'm adding it to RoboForm, and then that'll sync. Now, what we currently do, and I love this for Synchro, where we manage all of our assets for clients, I have a script file that I can run against a client system very quickly, and I have a custom field for the Bitlocker key, which is encrypted. So I will have, and I have two-factor authentication, of course, for the Synchro app. I have the Bitlocker keys for all of our clients saved that way. Now, we also have the physical recovery file on an encrypted drive, just in case, what if Synchro's not available? That's how important having the recovery key is. And it has saved us with clients where they've called and said, we can't access. All of a sudden, an update that Microsoft pushes screws up systems that have Bitlocker. And sometimes you have to enter the key. And this is a long, like 30-digit recovery key that you need. And unless you have a backup of the file, forget about it. And as a matter of fact, one that predates us, and I don't know why we didn't have the recovery key, but it was a client that luckily there was nothing on the machine that they really needed, and we had to redo the system because we didn't have the recovery key. And that's something I make sure now, I'm running that script on any system that's been redone. So wanted to cover all that for the encryption. This is an email from Bill. And this is about when I was talking about the SQL scripts. Mike, it was a while ago, but I had major manufacturing using SQL. I used the native SQL app and did a backup twice a day, once around lunch and the other after close. Then I used a backup program to back up to the cloud. I think at the time I was using CrashPlan. Could not beat unlimited storage for $10 a month. It is easier to do an SQL restore using the native SQL app. Absolutely, there's no question. Plus, I had a local copy for a quick restore. I also think that I could browse the backup, but I can't swear to it. Cheers, and thank you, Bill, for that. I appreciate it. This is a follow-up from Jason Miller, who writes in, and Jason is brilliant. He owns Unbound Digital and in Tennessee, and haven't heard from him in a while, so it was great hearing from you, Jason. And this was about my question on Teams audio conferencing. And he says, Mike, you're asking a question on the show about Teams with a dial-in number. All you have to do is buy a Microsoft audio conferencing license and then go in the back end and to sign in a phone number and assign a phone number to that user. This will give them the ability to have people dial in. I do this for a lot of our clients, and as far as Teams versus Zoom, I really like Teams a lot better. Wow, that's funny. So with a dialing number, it makes life a lot easier. Jason, thank you so much for checking in with that. I really, really, really appreciate it. This is about the local Windows 11 account. And this is from Israel. Mike, the A@A.com trick doesn't work anymore. The only trick that works now, and this is to where you're forced at a Windows 11 new sign-in or setup, you're forced to have to put a Microsoft account in. So press Shift Function F10 and select the window. Type ncpa.cpl. If I don't find a link to this, then I'm going to just make this a text file and then put that into the for the show notes. But I think I've seen a link for this. It should open the network adapter window. Right-click on the Wi-Fi adapter, click Disable. Close the window, then type OOBE/bypass NRO in the command prompt. The PC will restart. You should be able to continue with limited setup, which they always say, are you sure you want to continue with a limited setup, for a local account? Of course, this is only for Windows 11 Home and Pro. Let's bypass by selecting domain join. So I have not tried that trick. So I love the A@A.com. That was tremendous. So they took that away. So let me know what you're doing. Do you still create local accounts, or have you just given up and said, you know what? You have to have a Microsoft account. Just like you can't own an Apple product without an Apple account. So I just don't like being married. Even though I know they're starting to add more positive things, I just don't like having my Windows system married to the online account. I'm still old school that way. So anyway, thank you, Israel, for that. We're going to close out the show with a link. And I've seen this before. I did it in Windows 10, and now you can do this in Windows 11. Enable God mode. Now, this is kind of it's kind of cute, and when you enable, you have to create a new folder, and I'm gonna share my display, and you right click, you make a new folder, you type God mode dot, and you have the bracket. You don't type God mode, but just put the bracket and that big long number. And then what you'll get is the name will disappear once you are finished. And now you're going to have a listing of all kinds of advanced shortcuts for God mode for your computer. I wouldn't do this for a client, but you may want to do it for yourself. And I'm going to put the link for everybody that's hanging out in the chat right now. And that link will be in the show notes. And remember, you can get the show notes at MikeNation.net, or if you go to MikeTechShow.com, it'll just forward you immediately to MikeNation.net. And thank you, Bob, for that link. I appreciate it. And that will do it for tonight's show. Hey, remember to go to YouTube and look at my where I have all the videos saved, Michael Smith MTS, and click on subscribe. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe to all the YouTube videos, and you'll get a notification that when I post it up. That is it. Please, thank you for continuing to download and support the show. Remember, the best way to support it, click on one of the donation links on my website. I really appreciate it. And that's it. Hopefully see you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye.